August 7th, 2025. A date that may one day be remembered as a turning point in global affairs. The world feels tense, headlines warn of tariffs, trade wars, and warships in the Pacific. Each morning brings new stories of confrontation and uncertainty, fueling anxiety from boardrooms to living rooms. Leaders in Washington and Beijing speak with urgency, their words echoing across continents. The world listens and wonders. Are we at the dawn of a new Cold War or something even more unpredictable? This time, it's not the US versus the Soviet Union, but the US and China, two economic giants locked in a complex contest for influence, prosperity, and security. Unlike the past, this rivalry is fought not just with armies, but in factories, on smartphones, and across cyberspace. The competition is woven into the fabric of daily life, from the products we buy to the information we consume. The stakes? Who will shape the rules of the 21st century? American democracy and free markets, or China's state-driven model? The outcome could redefine the global order for generations. The US and China are deeply intertwined. Your phone might be designed in California, assembled in Shenzhen. Supply chains, investments, and ideas flow between the two nations, making decoupling nearly impossible. Competing with your biggest trading partner is a new kind of challenge. Every deal, every shipment, every handshake is loaded with strategic significance. Power is more distributed, and technology has created new battlegrounds: AI, quantum computing, cyberspace, and beyond. The race for innovation is relentless, and the consequences are global. This isn't a simple repeat of history. The world has changed, and so have the risks. Globalization, instant communication, and economic interdependence make this rivalry uniquely complex. Dangerous flashpoints remain, but economic ties make the rivalry more complicated than ever. Every escalation carries the risk of unintended consequences for billions. We'll explore the history, trade wars, tech battles, and military tensions that define this era. From diplomatic breakthroughs to moments of crisis, the story is still being written. The goal: to understand the high-stakes US-China showdown shaping our world and what it means for the future of us all. Welcome to a new age of rivalry. The next chapter in global history is unfolding before our eyes. The US and China weren't always rivals. For much of the 20th century, their relationship was marked by distance and suspicion, shaped by the Cold War and ideological divides. In 1972, Nixon's historic visit to China broke decades of silence and opened the door to partnership. It was a diplomatic breakthrough that changed the global balance of power. Soon after, American companies flocked to China, drawn by cheap labor, a vast market, and the promise of economic opportunity. Factories multiplied and trade ties deepened. The hope was that as China grew richer, it would become more open, more democratic, and embrace global norms. Many believed economic growth would bring political change. China's economy boomed, lifting hundreds of millions from poverty and transforming cities into modern metropolises almost overnight. The scale of change was unprecedented. The US benefited too. Cheaper goods filled American stores, and booming trade fueled growth on both sides of the Pacific. The two economies became deeply intertwined. In 2001, China joined the World Trade Organization, signaling deeper integration into the global economy and raising hopes for even closer ties. But after the 2008 financial crisis shook the world, Beijing began to question the Western economic model. China doubled down on state control and charted its own path. China's power surged, building a modern navy, investing heavily in technology, and launching the ambitious Belt and Road Initiative to expand its influence abroad. Hopes that China would become more like the West faded. The gap between expectations and reality grew wider. Under Xi Jinping, the Communist Party grew stronger and more assertive, tightening its grip on society and projecting confidence on the world stage. In Washington, a rare bipartisan consensus emerged. China was now seen as a strategic competitor, not just an economic partner. Concerns grew over unfair trade practices, technology theft, and China's expanding military presence in contested regions. The era of cooperation ended. A new era of competition, marked by suspicion and rivalry, began to take shape. The stage was set for today's rivalry, with both nations vying for influence, power, and the future of the global order. Trade became the first major battlefield. The US accused China of unfair practices, currency manipulation, forced tech transfers, and heavy subsidies. In 2018, the Trump administration launched a trade war, slapping tariffs on Chinese goods. China hit back with its own tariffs, targeting key U.S. exports. The tit-for-tat escalated, disrupting global supply chains and forcing companies to rethink their strategies. Decoupling and de-risking became buzzwords as both sides tried to separate their economies. The fight zeroed in on future industries: electric vehicles, solar panels, semiconductors. China flexed its control over rare earth minerals, vital for tech and defense. The U.S. pushed allies to move factories out of China, friendshoring. China deepened ties with the BRICS and expanded the Belt and Road Initiative. The global economy, once unified, is fracturing into rival blocs. This trade war isn't just about money, it's about who controls the economic future. The stakes are global. The fiercest competition is in technology. Whoever leads in AI, 5G, and quantum computing will dominate the future. The US has long led, but China's tech giants, Huawei, Alibaba, Tencent, are catching up fast. The US banned Huawei, citing security risks, and pressured allies to do the same. The battle spread to social media. TikTok's global rise alarmed US officials, who feared data and influence risks. Both sides seek tech independence. Blacklists, investment bans, and homegrown innovation are the new normal. Two separate tech ecosystems are emerging, one American, one Chinese. The digital divide is real and growing. At the heart of the global tech war lies a tiny but mighty component: semiconductors. These chips are the brains behind nearly every modern electronic device, from smartphones and laptops to cars and advanced military systems. Without them, our digital world would simply grind to a halt. The US, Taiwan, and South Korea are at the forefront of advanced chip design and production, setting the pace for innovation. Meanwhile, China stands as the world's largest chip consumer, fueling its massive electronics industry and technological ambitions. To maintain its edge, the US has imposed strict export controls and tariffs, aiming to block China's access to the most advanced chips and the tools needed to make them. This has escalated tensions and triggered a global supply chain shakeup. Taiwan, home to the world's most advanced chip maker, TSMC, is the linchpin of the global semiconductor industry and a major geopolitical flashpoint, with its fate closely watched by world powers. If China were to gain control over Taiwan, it could dominate the global chip supply chain. This scenario is a nightmare for the US and its allies, who depend on these chips for everything from consumer tech to national defense. Both sides are now racing for chip self-sufficiency. The US with its CHIPS Act, pouring billions into domestic manufacturing, and China with massive state-backed investments to catch up and close the gap. The chip race is not just expensive, it's high stakes and absolutely essential for national security, economic growth, and technological leadership in the 21st century. Whoever wins this race will shape the future of artificial intelligence, military defense, and the global economy for generations to come. The battle for chip supremacy is on, with every nation vying for a strategic advantage in this high-tech contest. Taiwan's fate is inextricably linked to the future of global technology, making it a focal point in this unprecedented struggle. The Semiconductor Showdown is more than just a business rivalry. It's a microcosm of the larger contest for global influence and power. The outcome of this battle will echo for decades, shaping the world's technological and geopolitical landscape. Military tensions are rising in the Indo-Pacific. China's Navy is now the world's largest, challenging decades of U.S. dominance. The South China Sea is a flashpoint. China builds military islands. The U.S. and allies push back with freedom of navigation patrols. Taiwan is the most dangerous hotspot. China vows reunification, even by force. The U.S. arms Taiwan, but keeps its defense plans ambiguous. Any conflict could draw in both superpowers. The U.S. is strengthening alliances, the Quad, AUKUS, and deeper ties with Japan and South Korea. Both sides invest in new military tech, hypersonic missiles, AI, cyber warfare. The Indo-Pacific is now one of the world's most militarized regions. The risk of miscalculation is ever present. This rivalry is also a battle of values. The U.S. champions democracy, human rights, and the rule of law, using media, culture, and alliances to spread its ideals. China offers a model of state-led growth and stability, arguing its system delivers prosperity without Western-style democracy. China promotes its vision through soft power, Confucius Institutes, state media, and the Belt and Road Initiative. Platforms like TikTok give China new cultural influence, worrying Western governments. The U.S. sees China's authoritarianism as a threat to the liberal order. China sees U.S. criticism as interference. This deep ideological divide fuels mistrust and competition. The clash of ideas is as fierce as the clash of interests. The world is navigating a new geopolitical chessboard. Old Cold War lines are gone. Most countries have ties to both the US and China and resist choosing sides. Still, two loose blocs are forming. The US strengthens NATO, the Quad, and AUKUS. China deepens ties with Russia and expands BRICS. The war in Ukraine and tensions in the Arctic and cyberspace highlight these new alignments. The global map is redrawn, with new risks and flashpoints. Countries like India, Brazil, and Southeast Asian nations seek their own path, balancing between giants. The world is dividing into spheres of influence, but the lines are blurred. The competition is global, and the stakes are high. Are we in a new Cold War? Not exactly. The US-China rivalry echoes the past ideology, alliances, and military standoffs. But today's world is more interconnected. Economies, supply chains, and technology bind the rivals together. Decoupling would be catastrophic, making economic interdependence both a source of tension and a brake on conflict. The world is multipolar, not bipolar. Countries like India and Brazil are forging their own paths. Their choices will shape the century. New global challenges, climate change, pandemics, financial crises, demand cooperation, even as competition intensifies. This is an era of interconnected rivalry, intense competition, unavoidable connection. The challenge? Manage the rivalry without letting it spiral into war. Leaders must find ways to compete and cooperate at once. This isn't Cold War 2.0. It's something new, more complex, and perhaps more dangerous. The story of this century is still being written. Its main authors, the United States and China. The world is watching.